welcome to By the People. I'm Ann Joya. Joining me this morning are two guests who are with an organization called the Character Council of Western New York. And they're here to tell us about a very exciting event that's taking place on May 19th. It's entitled
Inside Out Coaching.
And it is, well, first of all, let me introduce you. I'm so excited about the topic, I'm skipping over the introductions. Suzanne McKinney, who's the chairperson of this event, and Peter Simon, who's the treasurer of this wonderful organization. I didn't mean to stumble over that introduction, but you have got such an exciting program that's taking place on May 19th. But before we get to that, could you tell me a little bit about the history of your organization, Suzanne?
Well, we started as a Hamburg concern, a community project in the community of Hamburg back in 2000. And we decided to convene lots of folks from the community to brainstorm ideas about how we could integrate and develop a character focus as a community project in Hamburg.
Is there any reason Hamburg came up with that? Was there something that triggered that, or it was just the community coming together?
You know, I had recently moved to the area from outside of this area, and I was involved with the PTA organization. With my children were young, and we were, there had been a drug and alcohol summit that happened, and they're trying to convene some things that would try to help to, stem the tide for youth, abusing drugs. And so there's kind of a few things that happened on the way to leading up to this concept of focusing on good character and the importance and need for it, encouraging it in other people, and really developing it in ourselves first. And we started to decided that we would get together a group of folks, invite them to come and talk about this concept. And we convened a character building summit that was comprised of 400 individuals from the town of Hamburg, students and teachers.
That's a significant number.
Yes, it was. And all kinds of folks from all walks of life, elected officials and business folks and faith leaders, and folks that came together to brainstorm ideas. Well, how could we make this into something that was a community-wide effort to uplift the power of the message by focusing in on it as a community concern? And when we did that, we certainly got lots of ideas about things to do, and to raise awareness and to call attention to individual character qualities, and existed in Hamburg really for about 10 years, and we'd been getting so much interest from outlying communities who wanted to be involved in this as well, and asking us, what are you doing and how are you doing it, and can we be involved too? And we were never exclusive. We always opened our hearts and our approach to other folks to come and learn what we were doing. But it became apparent that we needed to really move to a regional concern. And so now we're the Character Council of Western New York, and basically our mission is focused on creating a culture of character for the folks that live in this region. And we're doing that in a number of different ways by offering programs. And
well, the program that you're going to be offering on May 19th is absolutely fabulous. The Character Council of Western New York, are there other character councils across the country, or are you the first one to have established this particular?
After our organization was developed, we found out that there were other areas, one especially in Oklahoma that started a group called Character First, that started in a oil and gas drilling factory. And from there, we made a connection with them. We have used them. We've had some of their speakers come out. We just recently had a business training seminar this past weekend, and used one of their speakers for that. The business training is something we hope to continue. It's one of the areas of our Character Council that we are trying to develop as much as we can in the area, and we feel we've begun a role on that, and hope to continue that.
So on May 19th, we have a hometown. After hearing about this, I'd say a hometown hero who's coming to attend a conference, to speak at a conference. It's May 19th. It takes place at Michael's out in Hamburg. We should have a still of it up there, but could you tell us a little bit about Joe Ehrman and the individual who I didn't know about because I don't follow football.
Well, I'd like you to imagine a high school football huddle before a big game. Pumped, well-muscled, testosterone-filled young men,
Okay.
eager to play football, and the coaches ask the players, "What is our job as coaches?" And the players say, "To love us." The coaches ask the players, "What is your job?" "To love each other." And in today's
Is that really what they talk about in the huddle?
Exactly. And in this football-crazed world, you'd think a bunch of sissies, a bunch of wimps. What's going on here? But that's the way they start their practices. That's the way they start their season training. That's the way they go about the beginning to a football game. And if you think they're sissies, their record proves otherwise. They're a winning team, but they managed to do it in a much different way than we're used to seeing.
This is Joe Ehrman's team. Okay. We have a tape, and perhaps we could go to this tape and get a sense of Joe Ehrman and his message. So hopefully I know how to set this up correctly.
I spent 13 years as a professional football player. And when I look back over those 13 years, the thing that impacted me the most that I was able to take out of the NFL into my own ministry was this concept of a team. It's really the concept of a community. What you have in the NFL is 53 men, predominantly black men and white men, men from the inner cities of America, men from the suburbs and the farmlands. Every year they come together to form this community. And they learn rather quickly that if you're going to be an asset to the team, what you really have to do is set aside your own personal goals, hopes, and longings. You have to learn how to find your well-being in the well-being of the community. The challenge of any community is how do you seek the highest values for the greatest common good.
I want to be on his team. I definitely want to be on his team. Could you give us a little bit of history? He's a Riverside boy.
Yes, he grew up here in Buffalo in the Riverside neighborhood, attended Riverside High School, and was an exceptional athlete, played high school football, and then was...
in lacrosse.
Yes.
A lettered lacrosse player as well.
Yes, and then he went to Syracuse University and was an All-American there, was drafted by the Baltimore Colts and played for that team when there was such a team, and played in NFL for about 13 years. And he was, from what I understand, a very rough and intimidating football player.
There was talk of his wanting to rip off Joe Namath's head.
Oh, dear.
But apparently he's turned the corner.
He's a much different person now, I can tell you. He's a gentle giant with a message that I think is profound.
He's got a powerful message.
Yes, he does. He really speaks a lot about the ability for coaches to be such tremendous character mentors for the youth that they are affecting, and that really that's the most important job. It's not about the wins and the losses, but it's the kind of young men and young women that you're helping to develop into good citizens. That's really the most important job that a coach has in a young person's life. And he talks a lot about the lies that society tells us about what it is to be a man or a woman in this society, and that society is kind of teaching us the wrong kinds of things to go after in terms of who you are as a person.
One of the things that he talks about is that sports should be a co-curricular as opposed to an extracurricular activity. Would you like to address that particular thought?
As a retired teacher, I feel very strongly about that. And what he's saying basically is during the day a teacher teaches math and science and social studies, and why should a coach at the end of the day be considered anything different than teaching something? And it shouldn't just be X's and O's. He can be teaching about life. He can be teaching about the myths of manhood, that said football players are successful if they have athletic talent, if they make lots of money, and if they have plenty of women around. And that's the myth that he calls, that he says America is providing to our young, which is a big mistake. And he says ultimately what's going to define you is your relationships. What kind of a father have you been? What kind of husband? What kind of brother? What kind of teacher, what kind of friend, what kind of neighbor. He said that's what's important in life, not money and all these other things. So I think that's a very, very
and coaches have that powerful platform to deliver that message. I'd really like to focus on how people can participate in this conference, how they can enroll, and what they can expect. So, Suzanne, Peter, tell me where it is, how to sign up, and you did say that this was a cancel. He had to cancel due to weather in March 17th. So
it's a new opportunity for new folks to register for the conference if they're interested. It's taking place on Saturday, May 19th at Michael's Banquet Facility in Hamburg, New York. If you're interested in registering for the session, probably I would recommend going to our website to find out more information about the registration, and the website is info@charactercouncilwny.org. You also could call directly to Paula Simon, and the phone number is 649-8940. That would probably be the most direct way, mainly because it's only 2 weeks away, and we need to know if you're interested in coming or not.
You know, the timing of this actually I think is wonderful with summer around the corner and the number of kids who will be going off to sports camps and different programs in the course of the summer, and it's a wonderful opportunity for educators, coaches. Who do you suggest be the audience for this? I
think anyone mentoring children in any capacity. It doesn't just have to be a coach in a sport coach opportunity. The information that Joe will impart are, I think, profound truths that all adults need to hear. I think that sometimes we get caught up in focusing on some of the wrong things that don't help to help our children develop into the quality individuals that we're hoping for them to be. We get caught up in things like the materialism and the winning and the losing, and the things that are fleeting, that don't really last in life. And Joe speaks to those issues very plainly and clearly in a powerful way that I think is capable of being very impactful to this region, certainly, but to adults in general.
I was reading about his core value beliefs, which I was just fascinated by, and our character and respect for authority, respect for women, service and compassion for others. I mean, it's hard to believe that we actually have to teach these lessons to young people, and yet, thankfully, through his book. And would you like to tell us a little bit about this book and some of the messages that are in here?
Well, a little bit about his book is that he talks about transactional coaches and transformational coaches. A transactional coach is a coach that takes things from the players. If you're a good player, I'll pat you on the back and I'll let you have a starting position on my football team, and hopefully you will win games for me. A transformational coach is a coach that comes and takes a player and not only teaches him to play football and be a winning football player, but also teaches them about life and transforms their life from a young, unknowing, seeking, searching young man to one who knows what he should be doing, what he should be all about, what's important to him in life.
I want him to be my coach. I do. It's
very much in alignment with the mission of the Character Council, too, because our intention is to try to help grow the value of good character in individuals. And, you know, the individual character qualities that we mold into who we are as people in a genuine fashion make all the difference in the world in terms of our ability to be successful with having relationships that are redeeming and healthy with other people. And so, you know, the things that he talks about in terms of building character really resonate with us as a character organization, because our focus is certainly to uplift those character qualities and make them come alive in a way that are meaningful in people's lives to help them strengthen those relationships, whether they're family relationships or student-teacher or employee to employer or neighbor to neighbor or even husband to wife and parents to children.
Well, he's been recognized also in so many ways. You have a copy of Parade magazine where he was named winningest coach, or the most important coach in America. He's been recognized and received so many awards. It's just really, I mean, I feel like the students who he coaches are probably some of the luckiest kids.
In awe.
I believe so.
They must be in awe of him.
Absolutely. I mean, what a great experience. And yet, his life wasn't always perfect. It's kind of interesting when you read a little bit about his background and maybe
I think, you know, it's interesting because everyone's life is that way. You know, we all have challenges. We all
Oh, it's
have,
not perfect?
No,
Oh.
and we all have skeletons in the closet, you know. And I think that that's part of the reason why it resonates with us as an organization is that no one has perfect character. You know, each of us has character strengths and character flaws and things that maybe we can focus on trying to improve on in ourselves. And Joe was kind of an example of somebody who's had challenge in his life, and he's walked down paths that maybe have been difficult and maybe not the right choice, but certainly he's remedied that in ways that are profound, and now as a mentor for other people, encouraging them to make good decisions for the way they lead their life is really, I think, such a powerful message for us as adults and for children. Mm-hmm.
You also have this character first, which you didn't want to hold up because you said it was shiny, but it's okay. So tell me about that character first.
Well, Character First is an organization in Oklahoma City that we have utilized some of their materials. They are a character organization that similar to us, but they developed this program in a manufacturing company in Oklahoma City. And the gentleman who started the Character First organization was owned a company who was dealing with a lot of personnel problems, and they were struggling with how do we solve these problems, and rule after rule in the employee handbook were not necessarily combating the struggles that they were having as a company. And so Tom Hill, the founder of Character First, talked to a friend of his and said, what would you recommend? And he said, you know, you really need to start focusing on building character into the lives of your employees. And Tom said, well, gee, how in the world can I do that? And he began to talk about these individual character qualities, highlighting one of them at a time, focusing in on recognizing those character qualities when he would see them in his employees. So it wasn't so much a character police and catching people doing, not exemplifying those qualities, but it was more about recognizing them when he saw them and praising them for it. And so our focus is along the same lines as the Character First organization, that we're hoping to recognize good character in individuals and then praise them and encourage them and recognize them for those qualities when we see them happen, highlighting the benefits that is to society because they're behaving in that way. And it's something that you really have to start with yourself. You know, this is all about us. Focusing in on our own character, and then being an exemplar for other people, because you're making the right decisions with your own character.
It's interesting. As I was reading about this conference, I thought it really is a wonderful thing for corporations and business leaders and communities. As you said, it's not for educators alone or for coaches alone.
Who is it not appropriate for?
I know.
You know?
Exactly.
I know.
That's the beauty of it. I mean, it's meant for everyone. The seminar is not really meant for high school kids and below.
Right.
But as a father, I've invited my son to come, and my other son's coming home from college this week, and hopefully
To attend this.
I look at the things he's done, and I wish I had known these things many, many years ago, because as a father, you always look back and think, well, what did I miss?
Absolutely.
What did I forget? My sons have gotten both of these books, have read both of them. And I just feel very lucky and fortunate to have them around to see Joe, to have the opportunity to see Joe.
When you were teaching, were you involved with this character council?
Well, here's the thing. I got to know Suzanne a few years back when our sons were in school together, and I began to hear about this character council, and it really resonated and really made sense to me, because in the first few years of my teaching career, I taught for 33 years, I learned after about 2 years it was more important to teach character than it was to teach math, English, science, things that they would forget. Character, if you taught them some things about character and value and things, those would last them a lifetime. Those would get them through 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and so on. So it really made a lot of sense to me, and we had some very good conversations. And then soon after I retired, I ran into Suzanne at the post office, and when she found out I was retired, the next 5 years of my life.
It's just a wonderful organization to be a part of. Now, you have certain schools that participate in this, and would you like that to be a larger number of schools?
Oh, absolutely. You know,
and how would schools learn, I mean, not learn about this, but how would schools become a part of your organization?
we started as just a Hamburg concern, and so all of the schools in Hamburg were involved for about 10 years. And then once we began to reach out to
All
the
of
region,
them?
yes, public schools, parochial schools, all the frontier in Hamburg.
You put all this together?
Well,
Powerful woman here.
I can tell you it wasn't just me. I've been involved from the very beginning, but there are many people along the way that have helped us to come alive in a way that's been meaningful, and I certainly can't take all the credit.
No, I know, but you should be very proud of putting this all together. You also have more shiny things. You're very reluctant about the shiny product.
Well,
Tell me about this.
This is a poster. Actually, this is the character quality of the month. We uplift one character quality each month in the schools and in businesses and municipal buildings, and these are hanging all around in Hamburg, but then also in other locations as well. We now have 56 schools in 18 different communities that are receiving our posters. They've joined us as a member school, and they have the opportunity to then uplift this character quality with us in curriculum and in conversation and discussions within the school building. But it isn't really just for the students, it's also at the adult level as well. You know, we are the role models for children. We adults are. It's our adult responsibility to set the stage for them. And if we don't genuinely mold these qualities into who we are as people, then we can't be effective mentors for them going forward. And so these posters are meant to be an invitation for a conversation or for a focusing in on this character quality to take place. If it's just a poster on the wall, it really doesn't mean anything. These posters are the ones that are in our middle and high schools and also in adult venues, so businesses and churches and places like that. And then this series we just started.
I'll swap you a shiny.
Okay.
Oh, okay, you're doing two shinies.
We just started this series for elementary schools to make it a little bit more friendly, easy and attractive for little children to identify with. The virtues and also the definitions of the virtues are the same. We haven't dumbed down the language because we really feel as though this message should come by way of adults to children. This is not for kids only. This is for us first and then for us to impart to children. So we keep the definitions and the language the same, that then it can be translated from the teachers or the adults around them to the younger students. And now that we're reaching you know, all of the schools in Orchard Park and West Seneca and Grand Island have these posters, and then many schools in between.
I'll let you put down the boards now because you were very good about that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Peter?
One of our committees, we have several committees in our organization. One of our committees is the Education Committee, and we meet 5 times a year starting in September and then throughout the year to the end of the school year. And it's probably one of our most developed committees. And the nice thing about being part of that is that all of these schools that attend this meeting have character clubs. Listening to these students come into our meetings and tell about the things they're doing are just mind-boggling. Frontier, Hamburg, Grand Island. Grand Island has a program where they raise money to fly veterans down to Washington to be able to see the World War II and the Vietnam memorials. They actually sometimes escort these veterans to the airport and see them off, and then are there to greet them when they come back. It makes my blood just.
I know.
It's unbelievable, and they're so enthusiastic, so exuberant. I mean, and they find it so natural. Years ago, it used to be our private schools that had programs where students had to perform 20, 25 hours of community service.
Right.
And they had to do that because they chose to go to this school. Today, though, the public schools are doing the very same thing and not forcing kids to do it. They are joining on their own. They are coming up with fantastic ideas that are just very heartwarming. I mean,
it is very heartwarming.
It fills you full of energy and enthusiasm to just continue our mission.
Well, you just have a wonderful program. I just want to go over again, because we're down to less than 5 minutes. Let's put up again on the screen how people can attend, also the cost of attending, registering, and talking about the fact that you also get a copy of this book, which I promise you I am going to read. I am so taken with the work that you're doing. And as you say, it's just so heartwarming. So, Suzanne?
The conference is on May 19th at Michael's Banquet Facility.
Saturdays?
Yes.
Oh, wait, no. It'll be when we show this, it'll be a week from.
Yes, that's right. And the cost, we're going to extend the early bird discount that we had imparted to folks, $99 per person. That includes the book, it includes lunch, it includes, of course, Joe's powerful message that you'll be hearing all day long. It's something that you don't want to miss.
And Joe will be here.
Oh,
there
yes.
will be no
Oh, yes.
fogged in for warm weather.
Oh, yes. Yes, we'll go down to Baltimore and get him if we have to this time.
And tell me again how you can register. Phone number, website.
Yes, you can go to our website to find more information, info@charactercouncilwny.org. But I think to register the quickest way to do that at this point, since it is so close, would be to call Paula Simon at 649-8940.
Before we leave, would you like to tell me anything more about this organization that perhaps I haven't asked you?
It's wonderful to see people who come to do something with their heart. They're not getting paid. Not a single penny has ever been paid to any of our 16 board members that we've had. It's just wonderful to see. I mean, after a wonderful and rewarding 33 years of teaching, I feel honored actually to be part of this organization because it's continuing that noble profession that I was lucky to be part of.
Well, that's wonderful to hear. But I would have a feeling you were a fabulous teacher.
Well, you'll have to ask the kids I taught.
Well, just hearing how you believe. And Suzanne, what would you like to perhaps?
I just think that the concept of character, often people will say, well, it's who you are when no one's looking.
Right.
But it's also who you are when everyone is looking. And I think that the character qualities that we exemplify in a genuine fashion for our children and for our contemporaries makes all the difference in how you can relate and get along with other people. And so if you want to have good relationships with people, it's important for you to focus in on the character qualities that you are comprised of. And so our organization is encouraging folks to take a look at that, to try to grow this in a way that's more expansive, and to encourage people to join us in our quest to create a culture of character throughout the region.
One of the things that I'm curious about, the conference runs all day. How much of that conference time does Joe Ehrman speak?
The whole day, all day long.
Coaches and teachers have very powerful platforms in this universe. And do you think it's kind of a shame that we have to teach people character? Or do you think it's part of our culture?
Well, I mean, people my age like to look back and say, it was perfect back then, and this was all taught, and sometimes taught either through voice or by the back of your hand. And today people talk about we've kind of lost a little bit with families, religion, schools, and things like that. But we do need to teach it and just take responsibility for it. We need to do it by community. It takes a community to raise a child, and we can't just say that's the parents' responsibility anymore, because parents are fighting the media, music, movies, things that I can't believe that the people that own those organizations allow our young children to see. So we're fighting something that parents didn't really have to worry as much about years ago.
Well, I can't thank you both enough, and I strongly encourage anyone who is available on May 19th to attend this conference. Thank you so much for joining us today. Oh, your message is wonderful.
We appreciate it very much.
And thank you, everyone, and hopefully you will attend the conference on May 19th. Appreciate you joining us today, and have a great day, everyone.